Hello and welcome everyone to Flicker Effect, a podcast where each week we chat about the latest happenings in film, TV, and pop culture. This is episode 114, and we're recording this on Sunday, December 7th, 2014. I'm David Lott. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hello.
Jascha Wilson.
Hey.
And Michelle Curry.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. How's it going?
Good. Everybody's good, I'm sure.
Jascha, it's been a while, buddy.
I know, man. The past 2 weekends have been crazy, but I'm happy to be back.
Hey, we're
always happy to
totally get it. We're all busy. But I'm curious. You weren't here last week for our crazy, super long review of the Star Wars trailer.
I purposely ditched that one just because I would think I had seen enough of Star Wars.
How can you say such a thing? Blasphemy.
It was a joke. I didn't get any laughs off of it, so let's just move past my epic fail at humor on that one.
Oh, I was humoring your attempted humor.
My attempted humor. Fantastic.
Well, with that said, what'd you think of the Star Wars trailer, buddy?
Dude, I liked it. Like, I thought it was, basically the epitome of like what a trailer should be. It just teases you with the idea of wanting more and basically seeing some new things as well as some old things and better special effects. I mean, come on. I mean, you get pretty much a taste a little bit of everything when you're watching it. You don't see, Han, Luke, or Leia, but you definitely see a lightsaber. You see the Millennium Falcon, so you can assume that he's going to be back, and anybody who knows the movie knows that he's going to be back. And so now we're just super excited because we get to see the Millennium Falcon really getting into it. What's the three-pronged lightsaber thing all about? You're not
one of those people that's like freaking out about it. Like, oh, it sucks. I hate it.
No, it's a movie. When it all comes down to it, it's still just a movie.
Amen.
Exactly.
I mean, you make your judgments once you see the movie. It's like, I'm interested to see what that's about. I mean, it's obviously, JJ trying to make, put a little flair and do something a little different, his own taste on the franchise. And I kind of dug it. I thought it was a cool idea. It's like, why not? Shit. I mean, we had a double bladed lightsaber just, not too long ago, and that looked cool. I thought it was fun. So maybe this one's going to be doing a whole bunch of really cool things as well. And, the guy who's using it, or the girl, ends up being a badass. So I wasn't freaking out, and I didn't want to go and try to castrate Abrams for putting that lightsaber in it and all that stuff. It's just, no, I'm interested. I want to see it. I want to, it was a trailer. Teaser, it just got me wanting more, especially when the music started and they showed the Millennium Falcon flying around. I mean, who hasn't gotten excited about it? Like, even friends of mine that just liked the franchise, and then they saw it, it's like, oh, that actually looks cool. And it's like, yeah. Like, it's a movie. Like, let's go and enjoy it. It's going to be a popcorn movie. Don't sit there and think that you're going to watch it and be like, I don't understand why this movie wasn't nominated for Oscars and all this other stuff. It's just going to be a movie that's going to do epic proportions at the Blockbuster, and it's going to be fun.
Cool. Anybody watch Saturday Night Live last night or see the Star Wars bit they did?
No.
It's pretty funny. I didn't watch the episode. I really don't watch Saturday Night Live anymore, but I saw it online. They did their kind of own Star Wars trailer, and it's pretty much making fun of the fact that all the original characters are all old. There's a Luke with a lightsaber walker, that kind of shit.
Nice.
It's pretty funny.
Nice.
Did you see Did you see the one where the guy recreated the entire thing in Legos?
I've seen links to it. I haven't watched it.
No, that one's good.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's actually pretty impressive. Like, when you come to think of it, like, the guy did it in probably like all stop animation. Like, you watch and you're just like, holy crap! Like, really? Like, and he did it in a weekend or whatever it was, and it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He literally had that up days after the one was released in theaters, so that was really impressive.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I was like, wow, this just happened.
It's been less than 24 hours and we have a Lego trailer for the new Star Wars movie. And I'm like, what? Like, who took the time out of their life to do this? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, right?
I also saw Funny or Die did a skit with, supposed to be George Lucas watching the trailer for the first time. And he's got the Hayden Christensen Force Ghost next to him watching it with him.
Wow.
It's something else.
Have you heard? I think it was Topher Grace that recut.
I heard about that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, recut all 3 movies of episodes 1, 2, and 3 into like a 90-minute, film. And he hasn't released it yet for the people to view. I want to watch it. Like apparently he all the stuff that was.
He's held like a couple, I think, screening parties where he shows it to people, and then that's like your only chance to see it. I think he was on Nerdist at one point talking about it. And I'm like, dude, I got to see that.
Yeah, I would love to sit down and watch that. I really would.
Must be nice to have money and that much time on your hands to do these things. Like, wow.
Must be nice. Well, what else you been watching? You got a chance to see Horrible Bosses 2. Is that right?
I did. I watched that this afternoon. I liked it. I mean, it was kind of just more of the same of the first one. I thought the first one had me busting up, and this one kind of did the same. It was, just raunchy, silly humor, and more of these characters. A little more over the top, but it was still just, it was funny. Like, I dug it. Like, I thought it was silly, but I like Jason Bateman. I like Charlie Day. I think Jennifer Aniston, when she's playing this, horribly raunchy, just disgusting woman, like, she cracks me up. Like, almost everything that came out of her mouth was just horrible and funny. The same thing with Kevin Spacey. I really dug him too. So it was fun.
Did you like the first one?
What's that?
You liked the first one?
I did. I was looking for it when I saw that they were making another one. I was like, oh, cool! I can't wait to see what they do.
Nice.
I think it's a little over the top, and at the same time, it's like, okay, how much more are these guys really going to do? But it was fun to watch.
Cool. Well,
I didn't walk out there wanting to kill myself. Let's just say that. Let's just walk in.
I guess that's a positive review.
Yeah. I didn't walk out going like, God, why did I watch this movie? It was absolutely horrible. I just walked out. I was like, oh, that was funny. Like, I was just like, so silly bastards.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I think some of the based off stuff I've been hearing, it sounds like it's good, but not as good as the first one. But
I can go with that just because, like, well, what they're doing. They're bumbling idiots. They're people that do stupid stuff, and you're kind of expecting it at this point. It's just a matter of like, what's the story? They're the heroes, so they're going to get away with whatever they're trying to do. So it's like, how are we going to get to that point of them getting away with it? Like, I think that, and it's just, that's a problem sometimes with sequels. It's just like, you want to see more of the same. And, that's basically what you get with this movie is just you see a little bit more of the same. And it was, it was entertaining for the hour and change that I watched it, but do I need to see a third one? I really honestly hope they don't do a third one, because I don't think we need a third one.
Right.
It's just it was a silly comedy, and it's a funny idea, and they did it. So cool. Let's move on.
All right. Bobby, what have you watched lately?
I haven't watched anything lately, but I've heard something lately.
You haven't watched anything lately? Who are you?
Well, not movie wise. And to be fair, I don't think there was any big release this week. So that's pretty much why I didn't watch anything. But have you heard of Serial?
I've heard of Serial. I've been meaning to listen to Serial. It's a podcast, I assume is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I've heard a lot of good things about it. I guess it's like the probably number one, at least in terms of downloads, podcasts, like in iTunes for a while now, I think.
Yeah, I think it was something like 5 million downloads in the first month or something. It was something ridiculous, but I had heard about it, and the basic premise of it is that it's this story about a homicide case that took place in Baltimore, and week by week they go through the case. And the person who narrates it, her name is Sarah Koenig, and she worked on This American Life before she started doing this Serial podcast. And I guess someone who was familiar with her as a reporter had sort of sent her this case that the person wanted her to look at, because they thought that the person that was found guilty seemed like they weren't actually the person that was guilty of the charge. So she got involved with it and did her casework on it, or just like reading up on it and interviewing people. And this is what the product of it is going through this case and hearing from the people that were around at the time and their story and their side of it. And even interviewing the guy who his name is, I think it's Adnan Saeed or something like that. And so she interviews him a lot from jail. She'll like get calls from him, or she'll give calls to him, and they'll talk about different aspects of the case and different alibis and other people that were involved. And it's just really fascinating just hearing this whole thing sort of take place as it unfolds week by week, and hearing how even her, as the person that's sort of doing this whole narration, she goes back and forth upon whether or not she thinks he did it or didn't do it. And it's just, you're following along with it, and everybody gets sort of caught up in it as you're listening to it, because it's so intriguing, and he makes such a good case for himself, because he's so convinced of the aspects of certain things in the case that didn't sit right, or his alibi. And so it just becomes all this sort of who knows, and you go week by week. And right now I think it's on episode 9 or 10. And I don't know at what point it ends, but I know that it did well enough for them to do a second season of Serial, which will be a different case and a different story and done in the same sort of way. But yeah, it's been really, really fascinating. And if you have some time to listen to it, I think you'd probably get into it as well.
Yeah, I need to check it out. I've been meaning to. There's so many podcasts filling up my phone that I am not caught up on. But
yeah.
I think there's a couple I probably need to just get rid of because I never listen to them anymore, and probably add that one. But yeah, I've been hearing a lot of good things about it.
That sounds really interesting, actually. I'm checking that out. Like after this, I'm like, I'm going to go home and jump on iTunes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll like it, I believe, too, Michelle.
Yeah. I could see that being my morning commute some days.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Michelle, I know you haven't watched any new movies, but you said you caught up on Walking Dead, which just had its, mid-season finale?
Mid-season finale.
So,
and, I mean, I watched it a few days after it aired, so I had to kind of watch what I was looking at on social medias. But I had a general idea what was going to happen, but it still was pretty shocking the way that it ended. It was very like, wow, okay, that's how you're doing that. Right on.
They really kicked everybody in the teeth, didn't they?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I knew it was coming, but I didn't think it was going to come in that way. That was the way they delivered it was pretty intense. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely had my hand over mouth, kind of staring to me going, wow, that was not that was intense. But it was good. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. Like, I'm very curious to see what happens when we start back up next year. I'm excited.
And David, you're way back on the farm, right?
No, I'm past there.
He said the farm.
I remember him saying at one point that's as far as he had got before he had stopped watching, and I didn't know if he had picked it up since then and continued on.
No, I got through season 2, which was the farm.
Okay.
And I got halfway through season 3. They were at the jail. They found that other camp town, whatever.
So behind.
And I'm wicked behind. And it just got to my biggest problem with that show is just it's so up and down. At least from the first 2.5 seasons I saw. Like, it had its moments where I was like, man, I'm getting into this. And then it would just go through a lull of like, wow, I really just am making myself watch this. And at the end of that, halfway through that 3rd season, I just found myself like, I feel like I'm forcing myself to watch it. And I just lost interest. And I haven't been back. And I know people like you, Bobby, have been really pushing me to pick it back up. And
I know, I'm sitting there shaking my head as you say that, because I'm like, you should just. It reminds me of like a lot of people who, because I'm always looking at forums and stuff, and people who watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they watched the first season and they dropped off of it, or they watched half of the first season and dropped off, and everywhere you look, people are loving this second season. I'm like, man, if you just hang in there or just watch a little bit more, you might actually start to enjoy it. So that's why I was thinking about when you said about The Walking Dead, because it goes through those times where it kind of goes down and they stay in one place a little too long or whatever. But I think you have such the perfect benefit of the fact that since everything is right there laid out for you with the season wise on Netflix, you could like binge watch it and get past all those lulls really easily because everybody else just has to sit through them week by week. Whereas you have enough banked where you could just watch it straight through and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, I know. I need to do it.
Yeah,
and I also need to watch
to
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I need to watch a lot.
Yeah. I
To
mean,
be fair though, like I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, Yashi, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to be fair, I know exactly what you're feeling and going through when it came to like The Walking Dead, because there was a couple of times where I almost checked out as well, just because the dialogue and everything was so repetitive, and if something didn't happen, I probably would have checked out. It's just like you had, but it's like you got to come back, man, because the past couple of seasons that I've watched, like the show is intense as hell. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I feel like season 3 and season 4, they'd have like 2 episodes that are kind of like setup-ish episodes, and it's just a lot of talking, and you're really just kind of getting to a point, and then they'll have a 3rd episode, and they'll be like really intense. That's when everything just hits the fan, and then it's 2 episodes of setup, and you kind of go through it, and then it's another episode of like, whoa, everything's hitting the fan again, and then it's 2 more episodes of chill time, setup time, but this season 5 is just it's so good. It's really good.
I call them filler episodes, like when it comes to like television shows, because it's like they don't really talk about anything, and then they try to throw something in like last 3 minutes, and it's basically just a filler to set up for the next episode to keep people going. You know, they have to fill up their advertising slots, and they're trying to move forward, but they just go ahead and do that. So they just throw this bullshit out there at you. Because there was even an episode of this season of Walking Dead where I was just watching, and I was like, I was looking forward to it ending because I was just like, this is boring as shit. I'm going crazy right now. But, and then it did something that got me really going with it. I think it was the episode with, I'm not going to talk about it, but that's basically where I was coming from with it.
All right.
Yeah, I know which episode you're talking about. I think anybody listening knows which episode you're talking about because what basically happened and what tends to happen when it's a filler episode is they take the focus away from the main group and it goes to somewhere else where you might be less interested in what they're doing. And then you're like, well, I want to get back to see what happened with the main group when they were just in peril right before you left. So, well, can we hurry up and get back to them to see what's going on with them? And that's kind of what tends to happen.
Yeah,
but it was catch-up week for me. Cool. I caught up on that. Caught up on, oh gosh, I just lost the name of it. It's the one with James Spader in it.
Oh, Blacklist.
Blacklist, yeah.
Blacklist.
I just caught up on that. So now I'm caught up to its mid-season finale, which is it was ending. I was kind of like, wow, this is tied up a nice little box. Where are they going to go? And then it's like the last 30 seconds where like, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Now you got to wait till February. Have a lovely few weeks. I was like, oh, really?
Enjoy the hell that you now live in.
Yeah. So like my head's been spinning, and I'm like, oh, this could go this way and that way, and that's the kind of the fun part I like about that show is like, it's not like super. I have to say, when Walking Dead's more exciting sometimes. It's kind of a slower one. You kind of wait for moments to kind of catch you, but when they do, it's like, oh, really? Wow, awesome! But now I want to like stab myself because now I'm dying for the next episode. But it's good, yeah.
Have you guys noticed that, like, I don't know, maybe within the past, I want to say 2-3 years, maybe, that when it comes to wintertime and we have the break, that they all sort of hype up that they have their fall finales and they're going to be coming back at a certain time. Because I swear, I don't remember when I was younger or even just in more recent times that they even called them fall finales. They just went off the air and then you just was like, when's a new episode coming?
Yeah.
You never knew. But now it's like they make it an event and say it's a fall finale thing.
Yeah, it's definitely become a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like you do. Like maybe I was just not paying as much of attention before, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like it's a new thing to be like, hey, this is our winter break. And we're always making the winter break episode a bigger deal than it used to be. Now it's like a cliffhanger episode every time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I didn't watch much TV this week. I've been playing catch up with Arrow and Flash, but I did watch a couple films. Like you mentioned, Bobby, there really wasn't really any new releases. I was going to try to go out and catch Foxcatcher, which I will, but I haven't yet. Instead, I watched a couple things on video on demand. The first one, Comet. It is in limited release. It came out on 2 theaters. But yes, it's on demand. I watched it in iTunes. It's a film written and directed by first-time director Sam Esmail. Stars Emmy Rossum and Justin Long. They play a couple. The film takes place over 6 years, and you are just kind of experiencing moments in their relationship and throughout that 6-year period, but kind of jumping around in time. So you're kind of going from one scene to this other one and back to this other scene, and, just kind of all over the place. Basically, I'll say for me, it really is not my cup of tea. It's a pass. It's not a bad film. My recommendation would be, if this movie ever makes it on iTunes, you're looking for this kind of film to watch, check it out. It's not bad. But is it worth the $7 I paid to rent it because it's, like a theatrical rental? Like, not really, no. It's relatively short. It was like an hour and a half. And I mean, I really like Emmy Rossum, and Justin Long's fine. And, these are good actors that they do have really good moments in this film. But there are also a lot more moments I found that their performances they left a little bit to be desired. Like it felt like they were just reading off lines that they memorized, and this was a job, is what at times it felt like. And I really make a point to mention that because I don't know. After I watched it, I did kind of look at a couple different reviews to see like what kind of feedback this film's getting, and I saw a couple people really praise the act, even reviews that were negative still praised the acting in it. And I'm like, did I watch this same movie? Like, because there were definitely times where I'm like, wow, they're just talking lines they memorized. They really aren't doing much. And they did have their scenes that were good, but yeah, overall it really didn't do that much for me. But it might do something for you if you're into this kind of thing. That's all I'll say. But
you really sold it on me.
Yeah,
man.
I sold you to not bother. Is what I'm trying to sell you on. On the other hand, I saw another film called The Babadook, which I hadn't even heard of until a few days ago, and I had never watched the trailer for it. Once I heard about it, and I was like, wow, a horror movie that seems to be getting some critical praise. You don't hear that every day. So I went on Rotten Tomatoes, and last I checked, it had like a 98%. And I think they had collected about 100 reviews. So I'm like, holy shit, I've got to see this. Wow. And it was on demand. So I'm like, all right, because I think it's been in release for a week or two, and it is playing at like 22 theaters. But yeah, it's on demand. So I checked it out. And this is the debut feature for an Australian writer-director. Her name is Jennifer Kent. And I guess this film debuted at Sundance this past year. It's based on a short film she did called Monster. She made back in 2005. And I really love this film. This is it's pretty messed up. It is about a widower who is surviving with her 7-year-old son. I guess her husband was killed on the way to the hospital when she was in labor, going into labor. So yeah, her husband died on her son's birthday. And when we, encountered these two in the film, she's got a lot on her plate. Her son is, he's a nice kid, but at the same time, he's a little crazy. He is freaking out about what he says is a monster in his room all the time. And, he's a little messed up, probably because of the fact that his dad died when he was born. And I guess he found out about it pretty early. And it's a pretty messed up movie. And yeah, I've been hearing that it's really, really scary. In fact, the director of The Exorcist, William Friedkin, I think went to Twitter to say it's the scariest movie he's ever seen.
Whoa.
It is a frightening film, but maybe not for the reasons you might think hearing that kind of review. Like, I want to mention, I feel like a lot of people will hear that kind of comment and expect the kind of scary movie that they're like, oh my God, I almost can't look at the screen, or I'm not going to be able to sleep at night, or I'm going to turn all my lights on when I get home. It's not a cheap scares kind of flick. It's scary in that it's kind of relatable. It's about a woman who is having to deal with kind of the terrors within her. and it's kind of represented by this. It's manifested by this character that's in the film called the Babadook. And she ends up finding out that, early in the film, she discovers this book in her kid's room. It's like a pop-up book, the scariest fucking kid's book you will ever see in your life. Which, by the way, is like, they're going to make this book. I have to buy this thing. I don't know if it's the production company that made this movie or who's making it, but somebody is taking pre-orders and they are producing this book and they're going to start shipping them like mid next year. It's like $80, but I'm like, this book is awesome. I have to have a copy of this book.
And there's my son's next Christmas.
I mentioned this to my wife because my wife watched this movie with me, and I told her, I talked to her today. We watched it last night. And I was like, oh my God, the book. I could buy the book. She's just like, are you crazy? Like, what if our son gets that book? I'm like, there's no way I'll let him find that thing, but I have to have a copy of it. You'll see, it's pretty insane. Yeah. But dude, this movie is messed up, and it's pretty amazing performances by the actress and the kid. The 7-year-old kid does an amazing job, and I can't recommend it enough. Again, I just want to make sure anybody going into it don't expect to see like a Paranormal Activity, kind of scary flick. It's not like that, but it's messed up. And that first act, you're kind of learning her situation and getting a feel for how messed up this kid is and how almost very frustrating he is to her, a lot of times. And it's uncomfortable to watch at times in the beginning. Like, you feel her, like, her pain and kind of anger building at her kid who's, not making friends at school and taking weapons to school with him because he wants to protect himself from this monster. And there's times where it's like it was uncomfortable to watch, but that's kind of the point. It kind of helps you understand her situation and where like these demons are coming from. It's a messed up flick, but I highly, highly recommend it. The Babadook. Good one.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Especially, I never even heard of this. I'm like, where the hell did this movie come from? So yeah, go see the Babadook. But that's all I saw this week. Moving on, we got our first look this week at a trailer for Terminator Genesis. I don't think it wasn't really a full length. It was almost 2 minutes. So I guess you'd call it a teaser, though it did kind of do some explanation. But to recap a little bit, this film's coming out in July 1st. It's directed by Alan Taylor, who previously directed Thor: The Dark World. He's directed episodes of Game of Thrones. What did you guys think of this, Bobby? What did you think of this trailer?
I think it's been long overdue that we've had a chance to see some footage for this film, because it is the Terminator franchise, and for it to be the Terminator franchise, seems like we haven't had a lot of promotion for it just yet, especially with Arnold being in it. So I was curious to see when this trailer came out, but there was a part of me that was not excited to see it. I was just curious to see it. So once I saw what the overall premise was, it made me feel a little bit better about the series in terms of where they're trying to do with it. That being said, everything else about it, I didn't really dig. There's way too many references and one-liners to the old Terminator series with the I'll be backs and, come with me if you want to live. It's like, how many times have we heard those things in those movies and just in pop culture in general, that it's like it's a little too much of a wink wink. And I would say the one thing that makes me still intrigued to see it is the Sarah Connor character. It looks interesting in the fact that if they're going back to 1984, that Kyle is expecting the thing for her to be just sort of meek and scared, frail woman, but she's not. She's already like that badass kind of Linda Hamilton character from the T2, but in the 1984 period. So it's like mixing up and crossing the other aspects of the film in a sort of a X-Men Days of Future Past sort of way, where it's making it different because of the timeline being different. So it makes it interesting to want to see how they portray that and play that out. But everything else surrounding it just doesn't look that great to me. So it's going to be a hard one to peg down for how I'll feel going into that movie when I actually get a chance to see it.
Jascha, what'd you think of it? Have you seen the trailer?
I have, and I kind of feel the same way that Bobby did in his expressing, like a little bit too many throwbacks to the original series. I was just like him. I was like more interested, opposed to like super excited to see what was going to happen with it. And the trailer didn't change any of my feelings. Like I still feel just kind of interested, opposed to excited.
All right, Michelle, what do you think of the trailer for Terminator Genesis?
3 for 3. Yeah, I grew up watching the Terminator series and I like it a lot, but yeah, the trailer just kind of left me kind of going, okay, well, I'm interested because it's Terminator, but it hasn't like really driven an excitement level within me. Like Bobby said, in the trailer, they already used all the cliche phrases that they've used in the other movies. And I have to say though, the girl that's playing Sarah Connor, she does, and there were moments even in the trailer she kind of looked like Linda Hamilton. I was like, wow, they've got a good girl, just get this going. But yeah, I don't know, I think it'll be interesting to see how the whole time changes and the who's going back when and all. It'll be interesting to see how they got the whole thing to make sense at some point, because yeah, when you start messing with time, like it affects the future time, and I don't know, it'll be interesting to see how it all turns out, but the excitement level just wasn't really there after watching it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like throughout the Terminator films, you definitely have to suspend disbelief when it comes to time travel. I mean, not that time travel is a science that we actually know, but still, it's the way they kind of mess with it. And what's going on here, even though I find it an interesting concept as well, I think like what all you guys are saying, it does seem a bit like, what the fuck? Yeah. I don't know. I saw this and I kind of thought it looked like shit to me. I really have no interest in it at this point. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I will say the one thing that's kind of holding, well, there's a couple of things. So one of the first things that is keeping me somewhat interested is Alan Taylor. I like him. And I find it hard to believe he's going to make a really bad movie. The other thing is honestly Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like I grew up watching Schwarzenegger, and I grew up watching all of his action flicks, and I like him. And it'll be interesting to see a film where he's actually the Terminator for pretty much the whole film and really kind of reprising his role. Even if it's like an older version of it, which is just kind of weird, but whatever. I can dig seeing how that plays out. Like, I honestly never even saw Terminator Salvation. And it was one of those movies that by the time I heard anything about it, I really never heard anything good, so I didn't bother. And I did see Terminator 3, and I really didn't like it at all. But yeah, I mean, those are really the only couple things that's holding my interest somewhat. Other than that, like watching this trailer, like you said, Bobby, the winks and nods to the stuff in the past, I'm like, I really hope that that's it, and you're really just throwing that all in the trailer to, I guess, try to appease and attract people because they will like that kind of thing. I don't know. Hopefully there's not a lot more of that in the actual film. Jason Clarke, an actor I really like. He just, I don't know, like you see him for a little bit giving this speech to a bunch of people. And I don't know if it's just that speech or what, but he just doesn't seem like a right fit for John Connor. And I really like that guy. And it just doesn't seem like it works. Mm-hmm. Jai Courtney, I really have no opinion on. I hear a lot of bad things about that guy. And I don't know that I've ever actually seen a movie with him in it.
Did you see Divergent?
No, I didn't. So
yeah, I don't really like Jai Courtney that much. I don't think he's that great of an actor. I mean, I saw him in he was in Good Day to Die Hard, which was
I was going to say
terrible.
Oh yeah, see, I didn't see that either.
Oh, it was so bad, so bad, like almost sad. And then Jack Reacher, he was good in Jack Reacher. I was about to say
that one too.
Oh yeah, Jack Reacher I saw.
Yeah,
so he was in Jack Reacher, and he played a good. He did a good job with that, and he was in what's the Frankenstein one that they just did, the I, Frankenstein, but his part wasn't like prominent, like he was just kind of there. But I don't think he's that special. But I do like the guy you were just talking about, Jason Clarke. I think I like his work a lot. But yeah, when I was watching the speech, it was like, why are the machines taking over again? I forget. Like, what are we talking about? Like, type of thing. It's like, what's the part? What's everybody doing? Like, okay, yeah, all right. Why are we trying to stop? Oh, okay, yeah, all right, that's right.
And
almost need to go back and watch it to like refresh yourself on like what the hell is this is all about again. Like I forget.
And when it comes to Emilia Clarke, I don't know. Like I really like her, of course, from Game of Thrones, but I don't know that I'm as buying into her as Sarah Connor. Like that scene of her pulling in the truck and come with me if you want to live, and then she says some line like "Let's go, soldier" or something, and I don't know. I found myself kind of rolling my eyes at that, and I don't know. She's just so small. She doesn't really, to me, at least in terms of height, doesn't seem to really fit the character. And I just looked. She's like 5'2". She's tiny. But yeah, I don't know. Right now, of course, I will probably see this. We'll probably see it for the podcast or whatever. But at this point, I have almost no interest in this film. I really couldn't care less.
I mean, I'm going to go see it just because it is a Terminator film, and I'll see it for that. But I mean, the trailer didn't bring out any new like excitement level. I'm like, okay, great. The new Terminator trailer's out. Great.
I mean, the concept is interesting. Trying to kind of do almost like a Star Trek style reboot with the time and going back, and she's been raised by Terminator since she was pretty young, and. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting enough to me to see how that plays out, but right now it doesn't look good to me at all. That's how I feel. But I guess we'll see. Yeah, it comes out on July 1st, so it's coming up pretty soon. Kind of soon.
But see, I really enjoyed, like you said, about Alan Taylor. It's like I liked The Dark World a lot. Like, I thought the guy did an amazing job directing that, and being so creative with it. So it's like I got kind of hopes for it. Like it'll do something new, but it's like. The whole rebranding, and it almost feels like they're just trying to relaunch basically the franchise. And it's just like by starting almost over by saying, oh yeah, he went back to time and, everything changed. And, this new Terminator went back. And I'm like, really? All right, well, whatever.
Well, I mean, yeah, you have like a new production company kind of doing this whole thing. I guess they bought the rights from, I forget the name of the other company who had it. And now they have the rights to make like 2 films, I think it is.
Oh, Jesus.
And,
no.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
We're backsliding here.
Yeah. I mean, I from the little bit I read, it sounds like the one producer, I think it's David Ellison, if I'm getting that right. He, one of the people who bought the rights, he has been meeting apparently with James Cameron, like talking about the franchise that like, I guess to try to make sure it still like fits into that universe kind of thing, even though at this point, James Cameron has no like hand in this whatsoever. But part of me's got to imagine that James Cameron is just like, even though he's crazy busy doing his 3 Avatar films, and probably doesn't really care, there's got to be a part of him that's like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, I made 2 good films. Couldn't that just have been it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. No. I'm sure he's just sitting there thinking that, and it's like, while George Lucas is sitting there, why didn't I think of that? Type of attitude. So.
Yeah. Well, moving on. Right before we get to news, let's take a look at some box office numbers. Yeah, there weren't really any big new releases this weekend. So Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 easily held on to number 1, making $22.5 million. So it's bringing up its total gross to about 260. Penguins of Madagascar came in at number 2. Horrible Bosses 2 at number 3. Yeah, really the only new releases this weekend. The Pyramid came in at number 9. But it only played on like just over 500 screens. Wild was also a new release this weekend, but it's only very limited release at 21 screens. So yeah, it came in at number 15. So yeah, not a huge box office weekend in general, but there wasn't really anything new to see. So
you know what? I want to see Pyramid too. Like I just saw the trailer for that the other day, and I was like, dude, that looks creepy as hell. I kind of want to check that out.
I don't think I've seen a trailer for that. I saw a poster for it today for the first time. I was like, oh, have I even heard of this? So I don't know. Maybe I need to watch a trailer for it.
It looks creepy as sin, like a kind of like a first person perspective of it, like or like a third person, I guess. And I like Dennis O'Hare a lot, so it's like he's the lead in it. I don't know if you ever watched True Blood, but he was one of the big baddies in True Blood, and that's where I first kind of like found the guy, and I was like, dude, this guy could really act. Like he's talented.
Yeah,
and I dig it. I dig his acting. So like he's in this movie, and I'm just like, yeah, all right, cool. I'll give it a shot.
Cool.
I'm not sure if I'm going to race out to go watch it, but I'll definitely, like, oh yeah, I'll watch it.
Right.
Around.
All right. Well, moving to some news. big casting announcement for the DC side of things. We found out the official casting news for the Suicide Squad film, which we already know is coming out in 2016, not long after the Batman versus Superman film. So, yeah, we have pretty much all the names we've been hearing about. Jared Leto is indeed going to be playing the Joker in this film. Will Smith will be Deadshot. Tom Hardy will be Rick Flag. We have Margot Robbie playing Harley Quinn. Jai Courtney, who we just spoke about, is going to be Boomerang. And Cara Delevingne will be Enchantress. We also are hearing rumors about Amanda Waller, who will almost certainly be in the film. Some names that I've been seeing thrown around at a few different outlets, Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, and Oprah Winfrey, which a couple of the outlets have said that, well, of course, that's probably the Warner Brothers' first pick, and who they're really trying to get is Oprah. It just kind of blows my mind. I can't imagine Oprah in a DC movie. Like,
how awesome would that be, though? Let's just take a second and
no, I'm not against it at all. Like, I think that's pretty awesome, but my head is like, what?
Because, let's think about it for a second. It's like, if you've seen Oprah act, like, the woman can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she is talented as shit. Like, everything that you see her in, you're just like, whoa. Like, you take a step back, and it's not a lot. And the roles that she's always done are, like, incredibly moving. So imagine her being in this bitchy-ass, power-hungry type control-figured role. She would own that shit. All three of those women that you named, all three of those women that you named are, like, all my first picks. Like, they would all... Yeah. Own the hell out of that role, to the point where it's like you can only see one of those women playing Amanda Waller, just like you can only really see Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man.
Right.
Like that's how branded they would be in that role.
No, I dig the idea too. And in general, this whole casting announcement, like, we've been hearing these names already, and so it's not really new news, but I never really expected all of these to attach, especially Will Smith.
Let's take a step back here. Let's take a step back. Warner Brothers is really good at telling everybody that this is what we're going to do, and then completely going left wing and saying, hey, just kidding. We don't give a shit about what you think. We're going to do whatever we want because this is what we're going to try and do. So it's like, I'm actually really surprised that they stuck with all the rumors and what they were trying to do, because how many different rumors did we hear about Batman versus Superman, with Bryan Cranston and anybody else coming in to play, different characters and stuff like that. And then they're like, ha ha ha, psych, here's what we're really going to do. And you're just like, oh, all right, well, I guess that's cool too, if you like shit that sucks. But come on.
No, yeah, I agree. And yeah, of all of them, Will Smith definitely threw me for a loop. We've been hearing the name for a while. Did I really think he would sign up to do a comic book film like this? I wouldn't think so. Especially because most likely he's probably going to contract to, do be in more than this. Yeah, that really surprises me. But what do you guys think of this? Bobby, what do you think about the announcement?
I was really surprised about Will Smith signing on. As you said, we've heard the names been thrown out there for a little while, and so it wasn't a surprise to hear the names, but to hear that they all signed on, it was just like, man, this is going to be something really special, because just the name recognition alone for some of those people will bring in people to the film, even if they've never heard of Suicide Squad. So at least that's what I feel like DC has going for them, in the sense that whereas Marvel has brand recognition and just their name alone attached to something will bring people to the theater, Warner Brothers can say, we haven't built up that type of audience just yet and built up that kind of goodwill, but what we can do is attach big name actors to something that will intrigue people enough to come see something that's very obscure and that not hardly anyone would know about. So I'm super excited to see what the final product will look like, especially knowing that it'll come out a little bit after the Batman vs Superman. So for me, that the casting was all great. I had no issues with anyone as they were assigned to the cast, other than I thought we had heard at one point Ryan Gosling's name being thrown around. Hear that name. Yeah, and so I was like, oh, that would have been kind of cool too if he had got thrown into the mix. But maybe he'll get into something else at some other point in time. But yeah, for what we have, it's just exciting to see all these names together, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to seeing what Jared Leto does with the Joker.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the Joker even fits into this story in general. Like, in Suicide Squad, I'm not really sure how he'll just be kind of a minor appearance or what's going on there. But yeah, to see what he'll do with the Joker, it's going to be something to see. Michelle, what do you think about all this?
I'm just like you guys. I was really surprised Will Smith was wanting to sign on to something this kind of big. Like you said, there's going to be more. It's not like this is just a one-shot movie and it's done. It's going to have more things going forward. And that was kind of surprising.
I mean, I guess he could die in it, but...
who knows? I mean, anything can happen in theory. But, Jared Leto wasn't a big surprise because that one's been mulling around the internet for a while. But yeah, I'm just excited. I'm excited to see what these guys are going to look like, what they're going to look like with the paint on, and what's going to happen with the storyline. Like, Harley Quinn is one of my favorite characters, and so that's going to be kind of neat. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing her as a real person in a film. That, like, just little things like that. That's got me kind of excited. And yeah, Oprah, that would be out of left field, but also just awesome. So awesome to see Oprah in an action movie. Just
an action comic book movie.
Yeah,
this is
awesome.
That's just...
I mean, left field, but I love it. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. So yeah,
I can't wait to see just the interaction with. I can't wait to see Harley Quinn call out Mr. J. Like, that's just what I want to see. Like, I'm so stoked because I think Margot Robbie is an amazing actress. Just in the few things that I've seen her in. So I can't wait to see her just do this role. If she even does half what they've drawn as, just this kind of off the wall, loopy, batshit nuts, crazy girl. And then all of a sudden Mr. J's around. So she just goes and does, I can't wait to see the interaction off of the two of them. I can't wait. It's going to be so neat.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Cool. Well, continuing on the casting front, not really much to say here. We already kind of knew this, but indeed, Benedict Cumberbatch is going to play Doctor Strange. Marvel finally officially announced it, so I guess they finally got a deal in place. We know that film's coming out on November 4th of 2016. Like, I just smile when I say the year. Like, 2016. Oh my God, I can't wait.
2016, the year of Dave Blatt's movies.
Finally. Batman.
It's like Warner Brothers decides to release some news, and then Marvel comes in and is like, oh, I see your Suicide Squad and raise you our own awesomeness. So there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, not really much to say there. We already kind of knew about that, but now it's official. Kind of in other Marvel news, more Fox, really. We know for sure now Ryan Reynolds is going to play Deadpool, which we were all suspecting, but didn't know for sure. And that's also 2016, as of right now. They did lock it down for some time. I don't know if it's an exact date, but sometime in February 2016. Part of me wonders, will that stay there? But it seems so soon. And yeah, they haven't done anything. But so yeah, February 2016, Ryan Reynolds. Sounds like everyone's excited about that.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait. I mean, that's like, we haven't really seen Ryan Reynolds do anything mainstream lately. He's been in some smaller films, but this will definitely bring him back to the forefront. And it's just that great marriage of character and actor, and for them to be being back into the saddle again as Ryan Reynolds doing the Deadpool, it's just going to be good for him, and it'll be good for that franchise, for X-Men, as well as something else and another avenue for them to explore other than just sort of Wolverine and just the X-Men themselves.
I just hope they do it right, and they do kind of give it that PG, very close PG-13, almost rated R feel to it, because that's why I think everybody got so excited, is because that release that they had of the footage just was gnarly, and I hope that they kind of keep to that tone.
Yeah, which, by the way, was like PG-13-ish. It wasn't even like rated R. So, yeah, if they can just keep at least with the same sort of tone and feeling for that short that they released, that we should be in business.
You're excited, Michelle?
Yeah. It's Ryan Reynolds.
He's like, Ryan Reynolds.
Hello. Well, I mean, I remember seeing him in the Wolverine. I mean, he's only in it for like, 10, 15 minutes in Wolverine. But it was some of the best 10, 15 minutes of that whole movie. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. So.
What?
Yeah, I never saw it.
I mean, not that, you know.
Yeah, it's one of those superhero films that I just haven't. No one's really given me a good reason to watch it.
You're not missing a lot, but I mean, I would say
really
just for the first 20 minutes of the movie, I would say watch that.
Right.
And then really, you can just move past that point.
All
but yeah, no, I'm excited, and I mean, Deadpool's a fun character. You know, he's sassy. He's more than sassy. He's got attitude, and I like it. And he's mouthy. I'm okay with that too.
Continuing with casting, something we actually haven't had a chance to even talk about on here yet. I don't know why it hasn't come up, but this is already a couple weeks old. But Oscar Isaac is going to be Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse, and we haven't chatted about it on here, so I'm curious to know what you guys thought of that. Do you like the idea of an Oscar Isaac Apocalypse?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Oscar Isaacs a lot. And I'm an X-Men girl, and it's all good. I like it. I think it's good. I don't know I can't really envision anyone particular, so it's like I can't be like, oh, I hate that. It's a horrible choice for casting, because I couldn't really envision. I can't even think of who would fit those shoes. So
I'm not as familiar with the character. The character would. It sounds like the kind of character that'd probably be like mocap work or pretty big.
Wait,
dude,
you're not familiar with Apocalypse?
Not really, no.
Oh God! Every time I think you can't surprise me with a lack of knowledge in certain area, it's like it's a. Because like Apocalypse is one of those characters that like you have familiarity with the comic book world, even though you're not like huge into Marvel and you're more into DC. To not know Apocalypse, it's like it's one of those main sort of enemies of a main book. He's
a pretty solid villain.
It's like saying who's Darkseid.
Right, exactly.
But
exactly.
Bobby, David is constantly crapping on Marvel, so let's just not be surprised with this, because he's constantly just like,
what?
Marvel? What's Marvel? I'm not confused. Do they do comic book stuff? Like, yeah.
Like I've ever crapped on Marvel. I'm just not as familiar, and I'm just being honest. I'm not going to try to fake any knowledge about Apocalypse. I'm admitting I don't really know that much about him.
No, I think it's good casting, but like I said, I also couldn't sit here and be like, oh, well, I think this actor or this actor or this actor would be so much better at it. I like him, and I think he's a good actor, and yeah, let's do it. I'm down with it. So yeah.
What did you think of it, Bobby?
Yeah, that's the same. It's like, I actually haven't really seen any of his real work that he's put in, so I can't say one way or the other how he will be able to portray Apocalypse, other than the fact that anything I've heard about the guy is they say he's a solid actor and he should be able to do a fine job. But like Michelle said, it's like you could throw anyone's name in there really, and I wouldn't be surprised, other than the fact that I imagine that they'll show him when he was younger before he becomes Apocalypse. So there's a certain sort of look you might want to go for. And I could see how someone like Oscar Isaacs could sort of fit that sort of portrayal of what he looked like before he became Apocalypse, when he was just on Sabanur. So I could see it happening in that way. And if he's going to bring some sort of ability to it, I think I can understand that. But I think the only thing I really had trouble with was what he said about the character of Apocalypse. And I don't know if you had read that. Did you see that?
Yeah, I read a little bit of it.
Yeah, I kind of found that a little troubling, because he mentions that, he wanted to bring a certain sort of humanity to him, some grays, I think, as he put it, as opposed to being sort of just one way you're like, and either you're good or bad. He wanted to bring a gray area to it, and to portray him as someone that's not quite just all evil. And that's who Apocalypse is. Yeah. He's not necessarily evil, but he believes in survival of the fittest, and he's not above doing the most evilest of things. So in a sense, there's never really been any gray to him. You really know what he's all about. And so now it sounds like they're trying to, I fear that they're trying to do a whole, where people who tend to be bad, where they tried to humanize them in some sort of way, like with the Halloween franchise that was remade, or the what was the other one, the Friday the 13th or whatever, where they try and make you sympathize with the character before they try and make you see why he becomes that way. So that kind of scares me if they go that route, because like I said, from everything I've seen of Apocalypse, he's just not that character.
No,
okay, so
I
David,
agree.
what Bobby's trying to say here is that's like if Darkseid, if they did a movie with Darkseid and they were like, Darkseid, let's try and give him a more human feel. Let's try and make him more likable. You would be up in arms going, what the holy hell are you talking about? The guy is about total annihilation and control of the universe. So that's where we're going with it.
So Yasha, I was going to ask next. Like, I keep hearing about this Thanos character. Who's this Thanos?
Yeah, it's weird, right? It's like, how dare you, sir? How dare you?
I kid, of course.
I know.
Well, I mean, the only thing I can say to that is that I hope that that's just Oscar Isaac saying that that's what he would like to do with the character, and the director's going to go, that's so cute, but that's not going to happen. So
Yeah.
hopefully the director steps in and says, my movie, this is how you're going to go it, because this is how the character is, and
All right.
sorry.
That's adorable. Now you shut the hell up and do it.
And that's what directors are for. Exactly.
Right.
In other Marvel casting news, you have your Jessica Jones for the Netflix show. It'll be Christian Ritter. I don't know a damn thing about Jessica Jones, so I'm not even going to somewhat pretend to care or have an opinion on it. What do you guys think of this, Yasha?
I don't know anything about Jessica Jones, so I can't weigh in.
What?
This is really bad because I just gave you so much shit. So I'm just kind of,
That's why
I was really hoping that you would go to somebody else first, and then I could kind of wean off of that. But you went right to me, and I'm like,
Oh,
Whoa.
Jessica Jones. She's a girl, which is awesome, and she's on Netflix, which is also cool.
Do I hear fingers typing in Google right now?
Who the hell is Jessica
happening?
Jones?
That what's happening?
No, I like the actress that they hired to do it. Like, I think she's. I've watched her shows. I watched Don't Be whatever, and Be in Apartment 23 or whatever.
yeah.
And everything that I've seen her in, she's really good. So I like her. I'm interested to see what she does. So it's like I did a search to see what the hell Jessica Jones was about when I first saw it. I still don't know anything about her, obviously, but I'll watch it. Hell, man, it's going to be on Netflix. I'll give it a shot.
Cool. Michelle, you're kind of doing the hand kind of.
She's okay. I mean, I've seen her, in the Bee from Apartment 23, and she was also in the show that everybody loves to hate, Veronica Mars.
Loves to hate.
Who loves to hate that show? I love to love that show.
I mean, I like the show, but
Watch the movie.
Oh, you did?
I saw the movie
All
too.
right. All right. I'm like, so I'm the only one that's going to be honest here, huh?
No, I
No,
watched it.
I saw the movie
watched it.
too. I
liked
actually bought the movie because it was so it was on video on demand for $3.99, or at Target I could buy it for $4.99. So I just bought it.
There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyways, but back to the actress. Yeah, she's okay. Like, I don't think she's that amazing. I think facially, from what I can remember in the comic, I don't know. Like, the actress she kind of has a very angular face, and Jessica Jones isn't super angular-ish like that. And I don't visually see it coming across. But I mean, they must see something in her that I clearly don't see for the character itself. But we'll see what happens.
I mean, again, like, I don't know anything about her, but I keep seeing, like, when I see news about her casting, I'll see like an image of, the comic book character Jessica Jones, and I'll see a picture of Kristen Ritter. And I like Kristen Ritter, but I look at the two and I'm like, wow, she doesn't really look like that, but okay, whatever,
Yeah. And it's just her characters that she has done. I mean, the TV show in the B from Apartment 20 whatever. So from the Apartment show, she plays this kind of crazy, quirky but pretty headstrong chick. So she could pull it off, I think, but I haven't seen her do a lot of really strong roles thus far. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
She had a role in like Breaking Bad or something, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that because like all I've ever seen her in is like just comedy.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
she's just
She
kind
can
of
pull off drama.
Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby,
So-
But she was in the Blacklist. She did one episode
Oh yeah,
on the Blacklist.
but she was also she played the crazy girl again.
Yeah. She played really crazy in that one. So
Well, that was scientifically embedded upon her. That wasn't her fault.
okay, let's not get into semantics here.
No, but she was crazy. It's
Jesus, man, are you okay?
She's either the comic relief or she's kind of the crazy kind of one. And again, in Veronica Mars, kind of the crazy one. Like, yeah, she's I don't know. It'll just be interesting. I'm curious to see what they saw in her.
Bobby, your thoughts on Kristen Ritter?
Yeah, for when I heard she was cast, I had my heart set on Alexandra Daddario just because looks.
So did I. But
because she's, looks good. And I thought, well, she could probably play the part too. But when I sat back and looked at it and knowing how, I guess, with Kristen Ritter, I, like you guys said, mentioned all these things she was in, but to be honest, I've never seen her in any of the comedies. I've only seen her when she was in the Breaking Bad arc that she was in, and when I saw her on Blacklist. So I could see that she could at least have that sort of ability to do drama, and not necessarily saying that Jessica Jones would be all drama, but I think the initial premise of it is that the character of Jessica Jones, she used to be part of the Avengers, but something sort of terrible happened to her, and she has like this post-traumatic stress disorder from being in this traumatic situation that she was. So she leaves the Avengers. She goes and decides to open up sort of a detective agency where she does investigations that are superhero related. And so I could see her playing someone that would be disturbed or have some sort of traumatic stress. I could see that from even in the role that she played just within the Breaking Bad. So I was like, okay, I guess they probably saw in her something that could pull off that part in those aspects of the character and push it along in that way, as opposed to just getting another sort of pretty face just to sort of fill that role. And I think she should be able to do a good job with the character. And from what they already have done and who they've cast for the Daredevil Netflix series, I'm confident that they found the right person for this Jessica Jones.
Cool. And they still need to what other shows are going to be on Netflix? Like
we've got, after Jessica Jones, we've got Luke Cage, who is her husband in the comics. So I'm sure that will play out throughout the Jessica Jones series and the Luke Cage series in some way. And then after Luke Cage is Iron Fist. And those two used to be partners in this series, Heroes for Hire. And they should probably maybe have a little crossover as well. And then after that, they all get together, which means Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage for the Defenders miniseries that will happen after all of their series have already aired.
Right. Cool. Well, moving on, sticking with the comic book movie news since we're here. So yeah, the Daily Mail, they were in an article, they were talking about the Avengers 2 reshoots. They also mentioned that it looks like Avengers 3 and 4, well, Avengers Infinity War parts 1 and 2, I should say, will be shooting back to back. That's not a shock. I think we all expected that. But it looks like they're saying it's going to start shooting as early as the end of next year, the end of 2015. That seems so early. That seems so soon. When does that first movie come out? Like 2018?
Yeah. 2017. I think it's 18. I should download that. I don't know if you've seen them, but they have these diagrams where it shows all the movies coming out.
Yeah, Marvel finally officially put one out. I kept seeing like screen caps, or not screen caps, but like people took photos of the event. But yeah, I think Marvel finally put out like an image of that. But yeah, I want to say, I think Infinity War's 2018, part 1, part 2, I think it's 2019. I'd have to look it up again right now, but that just seems so early. Am I crazy?
Well, I can see why you would think that because of the fact that we still have some of these other movies to come out. And at what point in time will those other movies start filming, like Captain America 3, and you still have Thor and all those other ones. So it's like, and just the ones in general, like Doctor Strange, like when do they shoot all these things if they're going to start shooting back to back for Avengers? So it does seem strange, but I don't know the shooting schedule for the other
films
movies
coming out before that. You've got Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Thor, and Black Panther, all before the first Avengers.
Well, and you also have to think they're working with those actors' schedules too.
Yeah.
So I mean, like those actors if they're doing 2 of the 5 films, why not just knock it kind of out together? Like, why not kind of keep everybody in character and kind of spend 6 months instead of like, I'm going to do 2 months here and then 3 months there. And then it's like, no, we'll just live in the Avenger land for 6 months while filming and then we'll just knock it out.
Oh, I get that. And I get that's probably why.
Yeah.
But it just seems so early. Like, it's crazy to think, man, like at the end of next year, they're going to be filming the next Avengers film already.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. Like, we just found out it was even going to happen. Or, well, I mean, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it seems so soon. Anyway.
I got the special effects team has to do their magic too, and that takes time.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure there'll be lots of those.
Yeah.
Of that Thanos guy, whoever he is. Thanos.
I will slap you. I will through this phone and slap you. How dare you?
Starting to understand why I'm not within arm's reach of Dave now.
Put her across the room. Yeah, anyway. So, you guys, are you guys Bond fans?
Yes.
Hell,
And the look in her eyes, yes.
I grew up on Bond. I was watching Bond from like newborn age. Like we always watch Bond in my family all the time. All Bond all the time.
I heard yeses from Bobby and Jascha, yeah?
well, yeah, I didn't say anything, but yeah, I definitely am.
Yeah. Well, we, of course, knew that, what is it, Bond 24?
yeah.
Now I don't even remember the number anymore because now we have a name. But, yeah, we knew an announcement was coming up. It was this past week. It is going to be called Spectre. It starts filming tomorrow, or if you are listening to this, the day it download, or we release it today. But yeah, Monday, the December 8th. Sorry, Spectre starts filming. It's going to be released next year, November 6th, 2015. We have a lot of the same cast returning: Roy Kinner, Ben Whishaw, Naomi Harris, Ralph Fiennes, Daniel Craig, of course. Some of the new cast: Andrew Scott, Dave Bautista, Monica Bellucci, Leah Seydoux, and Christoph Waltz, as we had been hearing about. We'll be playing a character called Oberhauser. Really briefly, I'll read the very quick, brief, official synopsis of the film. It says, quote, "A cryptic message from Bond's past sends him on a trail to uncover a sinister organization. While M battles political forces to keep the Secret Service alive, Bond peels back layers of deceit to reveal the terrible truth behind Spectre." I don't think it's a big shock that Spectre's the title or going to be the main focus of this film. We've been kind of hinting at it for a little while, but yeah, I'm excited. It seems like a quick turnaround. Like, we just talked about they're shooting Avengers like next year for 2018, and now we've got this film that's out in less than a year now. And obviously it's not the effects-driven film that Avengers will be, but it's still just kind of funny.
You know what's really funny about that? And, it's not a week seems to go by where I don't have something to harp on this about, but that movie hasn't even started filming yet, right?
No, it starts tomorrow.
Right. So they start tomorrow. They will have shot the whole thing, done all the editing, and it'll be out by next year. And we still won't have Superman versus Batman. I swear.
So true.
It's so crazy. They just wrapped on Batman versus Superman.
Yep.
I think it was earlier this week. And it's still not coming out until 2016. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
They just wrapped on that. And Ant-Man just wrapped this week, which comes out like in July.
And they had problems. Let's be real. Ant-Man had problems with directors.
Well, yeah.
And all that
right?
stuff. And they still finished.
So what's
Way
the
to go,
deal?
DC. Way to go, DC. All I'm going to say.
Look, Jascha, this isn't a fight, all right, buddy?
Hey,
You're always trying to make it a battle.
damn
I love Marvel too. I just don't know who Apocalypse is. Don't give me shit. Whatever. So yeah.
Hey, you know what? Let me throw DC a bone. I am absolutely loving The Flash. Like every episode, I am totally engrossed in. I think it's an amazing show.
Like I said earlier, I'm catching up with it because I'm a little behind, and the more I'm watching it, the more and more I'm liking it. Yeah. I mean, like I said, we'd already talked about the pilot, and I had my thoughts about the pilot. And second episode was fine, but yeah, 3 or 4 episodes in, I'm definitely digging it more and more. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, they're popping on the TV side of things. It's like they've really got it going on there, and it's just a matter of finally putting out products for the movie side to where we can really start to feel excited about that. And that's why I get so upset about it, is because it's still 2016 before we can really get their cinematic universe jump started, and it's so far away. And how many more movies we'll get from Marvel in between that time, and just to only have the TV side of DC to hold things down. While that's fine, I still want to be able to go to a movie theater and see something cinematic from DC, and to have to wait that long just still bugs me to no end.
Yep. Hey, right there with you, buddy. Yep. Bugs me too. But we'll get there someday. I have a few Marvel films to watch in between now and then, but
You're the little engine that could. It's adorable.
yeah, it's cute. In the meantime, another series that I wish they'd make films more frequently, Star Trek, had some news this week. I'm sure you guys heard about. Roberto Orci, who was going to make his feature film directorial debut with Star Trek 3. He co-wrote the last 2 films with Alex Kurtzman. He is no longer directing Star Trek 3. We don't really know why at this point. Deadline reported it. They, in that same article, are reporting that, I forget who wrote that article, but he's saying he's also been hearing that Edgar Wright is a director that the studio is considering trying to get. So what would you guys think about an Edgar Wright directed Star Trek film?
It's like crickets. Wow.
I know, yeah. Crickets.
Just like dead silent before.
I'll say right off the bat, like, hey, I'd kill to see an Edgar Wright Star Trek film. Do I think it's the right idea? No, I don't think that's the right idea at all. Do I actually think that would happen? I absolutely do not think that will happen. Like, you texted me about it, Bobby, and I write, and maybe I had read the link, and we were talking about it a little bit, and I'm just like, that's ridiculous. Like, no, like, he's not, just like it didn't work out with Ant-Man. You really think it's going to work out with a Star Trek 3? I mean, sure. I'd love to see it, just the same reason I'd love to see Quentin Tarantino direct a Star Wars film. That would be awesome. Is that ever going to happen? Absolutely not. Like, I just know it's just, I don't know. When I read that in that Deadline article, I'm like, what? No, like, is the Roberto Orci thing even true now? Like, I almost don't believe you. I don't know. What do you guys think, Bobby?
Yeah, well, that's the same thing. It's just, it seems like it's in his wheelhouse in terms of like things that he would like and be interested in and be able to maybe do on some sort of level. But in terms of a mass appeal or in terms of handling such a huge franchise and a big budgeted franchise, I don't know that I've seen anything from him that would suggest that he's ready for that, even though it's Star Trek and he's probably got a lot of love for Star Trek like a lot of people do. But that doesn't necessarily mean it'll translate into a good film or a good film that the studio would approve of, that the mass audience would approve of. And that maybe also comes into play with the things that happen at Ant-Man. So I don't know, like you said, I wouldn't mind seeing that, and I think it would be great for what it was, but I don't know that it would make for a great Star Trek film that would fit into the franchise that we already have.
Right. Michelle, any thoughts? Any opinion on an Edgar Wright Star Trek film?
I'm kind of with Bobby, honestly. I'm just agreeable today. I'm with Bobby on this one. Yeah, it's
Jascha, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be neat, but like you said, Dave, it's just like, I mean, is it ever going to happen? Probably not. Like, I mean, it's just not. I mean, I'm sure he's a fan, and I'm sure he'd really love to do it, but I just don't think it's in his. It's in his spectrum of stuff that he's actually would probably be able to do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I just can't see it.
I just can't see it. I mean, if he got pulled off of Ant-Man, which is big, but not, I don't think nearly as big as, you know, what people would expect from Star Trek. Like, dude, really? Like, you know, don't even play with yourself like that. Like, just.
Oh yeah, like I had friends on, checking out my Facebook feed, sharing this kind of this news, and one or two friends like freaking out, like, "Oh my god, this would be amazing! Oh my god, Edgar Wright looks like he's going to direct Star Trek 3." I'm like, first of all, calm the f down. Like, no, and if it's not news, and second of all, you're crazy. I feel like you're crazy if you really think it's going to happen. Like, I mean, maybe I don't know, maybe we're proven wrong, but no, that's not going to happen. Anyway. It's just I just found that kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Talking about Star Wars, as I just did, one bit of news we didn't get a chance to talk about last week. So we didn't get to talk about any news last week because, well, there was a Star Wars trailer to talk about. I was curious to hear your opinion about a rumor that's going around. I want to say it was started by Slash Film. They had a source or some sources telling them that what it looks like going to be the story for the first spin-off film, which is due out in 2016. It's going to be directed by Gareth Edwards. The idea that they're throwing out there is that this film is going to be about how the rebels got those plans for the Death Star, which, as we all know, pretty much set into motion everything that we see in the original trilogy. It's a pretty major moment in Star Wars history that we haven't seen yet. The idea also that they are throwing out there is that not only will it be a film about how they got the plans, but it will be essentially like a heist film, it sounds like, involving the bounty hunters doing it. So what would you guys think if this actually plays out this way? Bobby, I'm curious to know what you think. I think you were pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I love the idea of that. I mean, to me, it just sounds like it could be a Dirty Dozen or just some sort of heist or Ocean's 11, but just with the bounty hunters. And to me, that just sounds like a perfect way to go with it because, again, you're not trying to make them into these humanized, more acceptable forms of things that we should see on the screen as protagonists. They're just saying, look, this is who they are and this is the job. And they have to go and steal these plans so that the rebels can get it and be able to use it against the Death Star and the Empire. And just to see what they would go through and who they'd sacrifice and, who they'd lose throughout the process of trying to get these plans. It uncovers something that happened that we never got to see, and to see that part of it would expand upon the known universe that we already have and just make it something cool and adventurous.
Jascha, any thoughts?
No, yeah, I'm with Bobby on that one. I think that would be cool. Like, I would totally dig on something like that.
Michelle?
I would love to say that I think that sounds just stupid and ridiculous, just so I can not be so agreeable. But I agree.
I'll do that job for you in a second. So just keep going.
I think it's kind of a cool idea. I don't know if it negates an entire movie or series of movies, but I like the idea of it.
Well, I don't think it'd be a
neat.
series. It'll be a one-off thing, and then the next spin-off will be some other one-off thing.
All right. Yeah.
At least that's the idea.
It could be kind of cool if they do it. Yeah, like you said, like a heist kind of a movie. Like Star Wars meets Ocean's 11, I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be kind of neat, but does it need a whole movie?
No, I'm not going to rip it to shreds like I just kind of insinuated. Like, I honestly, when I first heard this, I wasn't really thrilled with the idea. I think mainly the bounty hunter part of it, I don't know if I dig. I mean, to me, even though I could see how you could get around that when it comes to the opening crawl of the original film and how they describe it in that crawl, like they definitely don't refer to them as bounty hunters, they refer to them as rebel spies. But I guess you could basically say they were rebel spies. There's a part of me that finds like that doesn't really fit like the history of Star Wars. Like that, I don't know. It seems like you'll have to conveniently figure out a way to make that work. But I like the idea that this isn't just going to be like, if this is how all the spinoff films are going to be, that'll make me very happy. That they're not just going to be like origin stories for characters. Like, you know, I think we've been hearing, the spinoff is going to be a bounty hunter spinoff, and this spinoff is going to be a Yoda spinoff. And my big fear when I was hearing all that was that, we're going to get an origin story for a Boba Fett biopic and a Yoda biopic. Like, I don't want to see those really. And if instead they do this kind of thing, I'm definitely all in. So I've warmed up to it more and more the more I've thought about it, and I like the idea. I'm still kind of sketchy on the bounty hunter aspect of it, but overall, I like the plan. That sounds like a good idea.
I think it will, like you said, it'll add some sort of level of bringing something different to the series. And it's not just origin story after origin story. Right. We'll have like different types of stories being told. And I'm all appreciative of that. And at least until if they can ever maybe make stories of the Old Republic and the Knights of the Old Republic and do that kind of thing. Other than that, what they're doing with this first one at least sounds like something cool, and I'll be all on board for it.
Right. Well, one last thing I wanted to ask you guys. Has anybody here read or even heard of Ready Player One? I guess it's a pretty popular book.
It's super popular.
I'm getting a shaking head no from Michelle.
No, it's super popular.
Is it?
And I haven't read it, but I've heard it talked about a lot. And it's one of those on the list of, if I had some books to read, that'd probably be at the top. Or the time to read some books, I should say. Yeah. Or even if I can maybe get an audio version of it, I'd probably listen to it on my commute and stuff like that. So, I know of it, but haven't read it.
Yeah, so I guess it's a website I've never read, the Tracking Board. They reported this past week that Warner Brothers they're saying made an offer to Christopher Nolan to direct a film version of Ready Player One. Since I don't know anything about it other than the really brief, synopsis of what the book's about, like everything I've been reading seems to be like, really, Christopher Nolan? Like, that seems insane. Like, I guess this is a book filled with kind of like, it's just kind of crazy. It sounds like a lot of pop culture references and stuff like that. It sounds like not a very Christopher Nolan style film. Almost sounds like a little Scott Pilgrim-ish. Maybe not the humor, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't sound like a Christopher Nolan type of flick, and I guess at least that's what everybody's saying, since I'm not familiar with the book. But I just thought I'd mention that, I don't know, a lot of people are now also sharing this news that, hey, it looks like Warner Brothers wants Christopher Nolan to direct Ready Player One. And I don't know if that will actually happen. I mean, it's not official yet, but it looks like that could be his next film. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing what he would do with it. To me, it seems like it could be something along the realms of like Inception, but just a different sort of take. Obviously, because it deals in more of this sort of video game type Second Life kind of world, and that to me sort of would mimic that dream kind of world where you're doing something different that affects the reality of what you're in. So I don't know. I think I could see why he would be rumored. Plus, he's Warner Brothers' golden boy. So, I mean, I could see why they would want to give it to him first to be able to do something with it.
I mean, yeah, it seems like at least any major big property that Warner Brothers has that they need a director for, he's probably one of the couple directors. They're just going to go, hey, if you want it, you can have it. You can have whatever you want. Mm-hmm. As long as you make it awesome. But yeah, I guess I could see it for that reason. But with that, well, I guess unless you guys have anything else, I guess we'll go ahead and get out of here. As usual, I'd like to know what you guys listening thought of the podcast, everything we talked about today. You can let us know by emailing us at feedback@flickereffect.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, and on YouTube. You can find links to those accounts on our website over on the right-hand side. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Jascha Wilson.
I'm Michelle Curry.
Thanks for listening.